Hi, and welcome to this edition of the Little Guys Home Technology Live Stream Podcast. We are sponsored by AudioQuest, Integra, and Golden Ear, three companies dedicated to high-performance audio and getting you the best sound possible. Did you know that?
I did know that.
That's good. I'm David.
And I'm Evie.
And we're happy to do a podcast today, and we're going to discuss a lot about outdoor entertainment.
And it's such a lovely day.
Yeah.
This is spring, you know.
That was me looking out the window, by the way.
But
it's miserable out. So the Little Guys, located at 19031 South Old LaGrange Road, where Mokina meets I-80, just south of Orland Park, west of Tinley, and east of Frankfort. Easy to get to, right off of I-80. You can get to I-80 from any major expressway.
You keep talking about surrounding suburbs as if no one knows where Mokina is.
Who ever heard of Mokina?
Everybody's heard of Mokina by now.
No. I disagree. I think people all know Orland Park. That's like, that one they know. And Tinley Park because of the, whatever this week's center, you know, I think it's the Hollywood Casino Center.
Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, right.
Whatever it is, but they know Tinley because of that. But really, Mokina is just this nice little friendly village of small, and I mean it's hugely expanded and lots of businesses now, but people don't know it as well. We've tried to make them know it as well, but just still not quite as well. So.
We have a Starbucks now.
I want to strike a chord in those who know where Orland Park is. That's all. So. All right. So anyway, we do make house calls all over the Chicagoland area, and we're happy to. We do installations throughout the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Southwest Michigan marketplace or whatever. We're kind of all over. So happy to go where you lead us. That's for sure. And give the store a call anytime, 708-754-8844, or email us at info@thelittleguys.com. And we'll be glad to discuss the possibilities. They're endless.
You can also ask questions or make comments or whatever during the podcast, and Tom will let us know if there's a question or a comment, as long as it's, you know, family style.
There you go. All right, so let's talk about outdoor entertainment, because I mean it's changed so much. I mean, nowadays people are outside a lot. I mean, the backyard barbecues, and just backyard kitchens, right? But the backyard barbecues, the pools, the decks, people are outside a lot. They stay home more, and they're outside a lot. And whether they're just hanging out by themselves and, you know, having a cup of coffee in the morning, or chilling out at night, having a drink or whatever, or entertaining the neighbors or their friends or family, or the whole family's just hanging out in the backyard. I mean, there's a lot of outdoor at-home entertainment going on in today's world, that's for sure. And in the past, it was just sound, right? That's all there was sound. We didn't even really talk video very often, although there's an occasional guy who would put a TV on a cart, roll it out into the backyard and watch TV, a la Mike North. One of the first ones we ever did. Remember, we put a big tube television on one of those heavy-duty AV carts, and when they were out shooting hoops in the driveway, they had this
really long.
They had long cords on it, and they had the television out there for. This was a long time ago, so the world has changed. That's for sure. And a lot of people think, certainly a lot of builders who are building new homes, they just put a couple of wires up in the eave and say you can put some speakers up here, right? Probably the worst place for speakers, actually, from a acoustic standpoint, in terms of having bounce back or sound come back at you. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that's to the extent that a lot of people did audio back in the day, other than carrying out a boombox or your portable radio of some kind, or music system of some kind to put out there. There's always been those few creative guys who set up their PA system outside from the band or whatever and played, but and I think they all lived right around our house. But
and a lot of people would just turn the stereo up really loud, so they could hear it outside.
Right, there you go. So it's evolved significantly, that's for sure. And let's talk first about how the ways you can get the system to power up, or how you get sound out there. A lot of people who have surround sound systems in the home have a receiver that has a zone 2 on it, and zone 2 could be the outside speakers. Yes. It could be other parts of the house as well, but let's just say it could be the outside speakers, and you could use that to power if it's a powered one, to power zone 2, and have a couple of speakers out there, and we'll talk about all the different kinds of speaker options in a minute, but you could power it that way, and then you could still be using your surround system in the main room and have Zone 2 playing music from a CD player or streaming network music. Again, we'll go into more detail as far as sources that are available. So that's one way of doing it, using Zone 2 off of a receiver. You could have a dedicated outdoor system. You could have a receiver and whatever your sources are, and power up as many speakers as you want outside and do it that way as well. Right? It's another option of how you power the system that was out there. One of the more recent ones that seems to have a little bit of popularity is you use the Blue Sound powered node or the Sonos Zone amplifier and hook a pair of speakers directly to it, or put a switch on it and hook up a couple pairs of speakers to it, and just use that as your source. And you have all the streaming capability from Tidal and TuneIn and Pandora and all the different options that are out there, as well as access to all of your music that's stored somewhere in the house, because that lives on the network. It can be somewhere in the basement, and you can control it from outside, assuming that you have decent Wi-Fi outside.
Right.
And that's an important part of whatever control and system that you end up using to cover the outside speakers or the outside entertainment concept. So that's another way of powering it up. There are multiple ways to do it. There are lots of different ways to power it up. There are dedicated amps that were made for outdoor, and nowadays a lot of the speakers are actually EQ'd for being outside.
Right.
They're made to be outside. They're not just speakers that somebody put outdoor enclosures on and now they're outside, but they're literally made to sound good in an outdoor open space kind of a thing. The choices are in today's world are it's amazing how many different ways you can do it, and combinations of speakers and different concepts. The old Eve speakers, going to the different styles of speakers that are available, the Eve style speakers, which are the traditional outdoor kind of rubbery enclosure, plastic enclosure kind of a thing, or coated materials so that they can literally live outside year round. Those speakers, being placed correctly, can work really well. There's no problem with those. We sell a lot of those, actually. The typical thing that people do is put them under the eaves, and then they shoot past you over the deck and out into the yard and towards your neighbor's house. What we like to do when the option exists is to have the sound come back at you over the deck and then come off the wall against your house, so you actually have the houses in the background kind of a thing.
Right. And that's what you can do that if you have a deck. It's real easy to mount the speakers on the deck and have them face back towards the house. Also, maybe you're not annoying the neighbors as much.
For sure.
Unless you want to.
And it doesn't have to be as loud, right? You don't have to crank it up.
Yep.
It just sounds so much better. Outdoor speakers and Eve-style speakers, run the gambit as far as price points and price ranges are concerned. They are relatively efficient. They are simple to hook up. They come with brackets for the most part, and they're different styles and colors, and you can make them blend in. You can also use in-eave speakers, so literally in-ceiling type speakers that are made for outdoors, and not see any box and just have the speaker aiming down. Sometimes that works out okay. Sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on the location and
right. It really depends. If you have an outdoor area that's covered,
yep.
Right, and it's not part of the house. It's more like a gazebo type thing or whatever. You have it covered. Certainly, you can use those in-eave speakers. Yeah. And have the dispersion be really good. If you just have a regular house where it's just
it makes
right
it really
against
tough.
the edges, then everybody's like sitting up against the house so that they can hear the music.
That's really tough. So I think the whole change in speaker concept started with rock style speakers.
Yes.
Right? I mean, once they came up with rocks in different colors and shapes and sizes and different levels of performance.
I don't know why it took them so long to figure that out. They've had the fake boulder to cover whatever gas pipes or, whatever
some
pipes
pump
or
things,
some pumps or whatever is sticking up in your yard, eons ago.
We used to use them for satellite dishes. We
Yes.
used to cover this. Somebody whose satellite dish was going down low, and they wanted to cover it.
Yes.
Right. They didn't want to see it on the house or whatever, so you could use it for that too. So the rock style speakers really kind of, I think, kicked off a whole new awareness of different things you could do outside, and they blend in with the landscaping.
Yes.
And they do typically get located in a much better spot than the Eve style speakers. That's for sure.
Right, and depending on the size of your yard or estate, you may want music, out much further than right there at the house.
Yeah.
And the rock speakers allow you to just like blend it seamlessly and have music everywhere.
And they you can get left, right. You can get individual speakers, and they also they come in stereo as well. So you could have a single rock in a specific area. You don't have to have a left and a right, and worry about you're in the
Right.
middle or that kind of thing.
A switch, just
Right.
as if you want this to be a mono speaker, which means you have two, or if you want it to play in stereo, which means you would just have the one. That comes in real handy
Yeah,
in certain
it
situations.
really does come in handy.
You have a spot for one rock. You don't have to put two there in order to get stereo.
So there's rock style speakers. There's also the new phenomena in outdoor speakers, or the relatively new over the last few years. We call them landscape speakers or architectural outdoor speakers, and they are. You've seen a picture of it now. I think you're seeing a picture of it now. They look like the little lights you saw at Disney back in the day, but they're really, really, really well blended in. You can use them in by the bushes. You can mount them up in trees. You can put them on poles. You can put them on off the wall. You can do just about anything with them. There's multiples. They're in 4s and 8s and 12s and 16s. And the upside to that is it's not blasting in any one spot.
Right.
You have total coverage of the entire area. You can strategically locate them and blend both acoustic considerations as well as landscape considerations. They have a real nice powered subwoofer that goes with them in various sizes and depending on the yard and how much area you're trying to cover. So there's good, deep, rich bass.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're showing the subwoofer on the screen here, but it looks massive, but you bury most of it.
Yeah, most of it's buried.
goes
It's just a
underground.
little
Yeah.
like thing sticking up. It
Little
looks like a
dome,
vent.
yeah.
Right, a little vent sticking up, and they cover a ton of space. I mean, and they can meet any requirements. These things start at as little as $1,500 for a system to there's $12,000 and $13,000 versions. I mean, if you really want a concert-like experience or whatever, outdoor, loud, unbelievable sound pressure level, I mean, you can go as crazy as you want. That's for sure. But there's some really, really good ones out there. It's super reasonable, between $1,700 and $2,500 with eight speakers and really cover a lot of area. They come with a powered sub. They come with spikes. If you need longer spikes, you can get longer spikes. I mean, they all the different options for hanging and placement.
And you don't have to use any one option.
Yeah.
Say you have a very large yard or a ball field. Like we have a customer who's a ball field in the back of the yard, and a huge garden with a pond, and there's lots of land. So you can put different solutions in different
Sure.
areas, and then still have them all work together.
And they can all play the same stuff, or if
You
the
can zone
yard
them.
is that big, we can
Yeah.
zone it, right? So the deck could be sitting there listening to whatever, and the people out at the pool could be rocking out to something else,
Sure.
and literally a third or fourth person could have, or group of people could have different things going. So you can kind of do whatever you want. A lot of really good options, and I love this option because it sounds so good everywhere. One area is not blasted out so that another area can hear it. That's the other thing that typically happens is people don't put in enough speakers outside.
Right, and then they end up having to turn them up
That's it.
really loud.
Especially if there's a pool or a place where all the kids are hanging in one spot, and for them to hear it, versus you hearing it, and that kind of thing.
So I don't want to have to keep running back in the house and changing CDs. I mean, how would you play music the way we've learned to play music
We're gonna
now?
get to that.
Played in the yard.
I promise we're going to get to that. We're not going to leave this podcast until we get to that. But let's go. There's a couple more speakers. There's the planter speakers, right? And up until now, when people thought of planter speakers, there were these really tinny sound and awful.
Well, I got a pair in the front of the store.
Right.
I planted things.
They're not hooked
they're
up.
not hooked up.
We're just using them as planters. They're terrible, right? I mean, they're pretty tinny sound, and they don't have any bottom end at all. There's some really good planter speakers out there, and you can go to planterspeakers.com and see them. And we sell those. We sell a lot of those actually, and they really they look fantastic. They're high end planters that you can fully put live plants in and not worry about affecting the speaker at all. They work a couple of different ways. They radiate through the front. You can get ones that radiate 90 degrees, in 2 different directions. You can get ones that go 180 in 3 different directions. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with them. There's a lot of different levels. There's different colors and styles, and I mean, you can really get them to blend in. But we're talking about high performance, high quality speakers, planter speakers that look great and sound fantastic. We just did a pair for a guy in his Four Seasons room, right, where he's got a hot tub and he sits out on the deck and it's actually kind of enclosed.
Yeah.
But still, he wanted something that kind of made sense with being out on the deck and the rest of it. And these planters were perfect for him. And we hooked them up here and played them. They sound unbelievable. They do not sound at all. They image. They have detail.
I know, that's
accuracy.
the part we were amazed about, is that
the imaging was incredible.
Yeah, it was so good.
And they make subwoofers in those as well. So you can get a subwoofer and satellites if you're really into it and you want to rock out. That possibility exists. There's just some really cool stuff. And the better planter speakers are a little bit more money. They're in that $2,000 to $3,000 a pair range or whatever. That's and up, actually, if you really want to get into something. But really good, really well built, really well designed and engineered, and nothing you ever have to worry about. Bringing in and out. They can be out year round and really cool. I mean, there's drainage, right? So if you're doing live plants, there's drainage off to the side, so the speaker's completely kept separate from any humidity or water from the plants themselves.
Mine have drainage too.
They do?
Yeah, I tilt them and then all the water comes out.
Those were terrible. Well, I mean, look, there's been some other crazy outdoor speakers over the years. Remember the frogs?
Yes. We sold a lot of frogs.
We sold a lot of frogs.
They were just such a cute thing.
But that's because they were supposed to be a $200 a piece speaker, and we sold them for $79 or something, right, on the closeout. But they were it was literally a frog that was a speaker. I mean, it was pretty crazy. It was, but we sold them.
Yep.
We did sell them. People liked it. People loved, especially frog people, really liked it. So there's a lot of different speaker options, a lot of different ways you can do it, different combos. And when you're powering those up, whether you're running them at 4 ohms or 8 ohms or using 75 volt or 25 volt, there's a lot of different ways to do it. A lot of different multiples, a lot of different amplifiers that are designed to run it. But to Evie's point, which we was talking about a little bit ago, and I interrupted with the one last speaker type.
So always got to interrupt.
Is how do you control them? Right, you want to be able to control it. You're not running in the house to put in CDs anymore. Those days are over, right? So how do you get streaming music or music that's on a hard drive, or how does that work? So how does that work?
Well, so you have to have. You can't really. You could wire the outside. That's a little difficult, but you have to have good Wi-Fi outside. And people probably I consider this sometimes. If I'm out on the deck, the Wi-Fi signal from the house is not strong enough. Sometimes I get Facebook. So then you find yourself walking over, hanging in the door a little bit, waiting for, to catch the signal. But now, there is outdoor wireless access points you can use that can make your whole backyard Wi-Fi. You
got it. So the control is typically done via Wi-Fi. I mean, that's normally how you would do it. And whether that's on an app on your phone or a handheld remote that's working via Wi-Fi, those options exist. There are RF radio frequency, just handheld universal remotes that can work as well. Although recently with the price reductions in control systems, it's pretty unusual to do a handheld, just universal remote. It's more a Control 4 type system or Savant type system where you literally use Wi-Fi, and then also can integrate it into other parts of the house.
And also, if you're using your phone to access these different apps, it's a lot easier to see what you're choosing. What music is on, which one's next, what the different artists are. It's easier to flip through all your stuff and see what you want to play.
And everybody in the family can have the app, Everybody, I mean, it's not like you pay for each license or something like that. The apps are free, and you can download as many apps as you need to do it. You can control it again from the outside, and you literally can have access to anything you would have access to in your system from anywhere else. So whether that's your streaming box, your Blue Sound streaming box that gives you all the streaming sources, the access to your music that's on a hard drive on some hard drive somewhere in the house, or a lot of those devices and the Blue Sound devices specifically have Bluetooth built into them as well. So you can often, although there are very, very significant limitations to Bluetooth capabilities. The good news about Bluetooth is it's extremely reliable. The bad news about Bluetooth is it has distance limitations and limitations fidelity-wise as well. But you can stream from your phone or from whatever, your iPod or MP3 player to the device in the house and get music that way as well. So if somebody comes over and they have music and you wanted to hear something they had on their phone, you can do that as well. Typically, in most situations. Yeah. I mean, there are exceptions depending on Bluetooth limitations, but for the most part, you can do that. And controlling the system is done, again, with either Control 4 or Savant. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And again, it can be on your main control iPad and bring that out with you, or do it from your phone and simply. If you want a hard keypad outside, there can be a hard keypad. Or there can be a touch panel outside that lets you control it. There are actually waterproof remotes. So, I mean, if you're doing a simple universal, there are some waterproof remotes that exist. So if you're in the pool and you want to use it, you can. A lot of people are hesitant to bring their phone onto that floating lounge chair.
Or if you have an indoor pool, those tend to be very
humid.
The air is very humid, and a waterproof remote would last much longer. Yeah,
for sure. And of course, it's really great to be able to have those stronger network capabilities outside, not just for the control on the system, but if you're out there and you want to search something or find something or look something up, check your email, do all the other things. Why not have real Wi-Fi out there? It's all part of upgrading your network and having a good network system throughout the house and again, outside. So, all right. There's a lot of, sound-wise, there's a lot of choices. That's for sure, right? I mean, a lot of different things you can do. There are also some video options that frankly didn't really exist years ago. And that is, there are a lot of outdoor television options. A lot of really bad ones, really bad ones, and some really good ones. I've seen a bunch of these cases that go around regular TVs for outdoors.
Those are awful.
So after 3 months, maybe in some cases 5 months, the case itself, the plexiglass thing, looks horrible. It's all scratched up and hazy, and it looks terrible.
Right. The sun affects it, the wind, the rain, all of that affects it.
Yeah.
And it starts to cloud.
Yeah.
And your TV screen is right behind that.
And TVs that are made for outdoors are extremely bright. They're exceptionally bright. They're designed to be outdoors. They're made to do that, right? So not only do they keep all the little bugs and critters and the water off of the TV and all those kind of things away, but they're designed video-wise to be used outdoors. So they're extremely bright. The color comes through even with in the light of day, and an outdoor TV really should be a dedicated outdoor TV. Look, if you're taking a $150 32-inch TV and you're putting on the table to use once a year or whatever, and whatever, that's fine.
Or
Go
again,
ahead.
You have a covered area, some sort of an outdoor porch like.
I'd still use an outdoor TV there, right?
Well, I would. I've known people who have hauled a TV out there.
What a pain in the neck.
But you have to understand that the heat, the humidity. Maybe it's not getting wet, but the heat and the humidity are affecting it internally.
For sure.
But it can be done.
Yep, it can be.
And again, like what you said, a small TV, a 32, you can go.
But
like
you can get a great outdoor 32-inch
40.
TV for $1,500 or whatever, and not have to worry about it, and just leave it out there year round if you want to. If you want to take it in the winter, go ahead, but you don't have to. It can be out there year round. You can enjoy it year round. They're made to operate under those conditions. It just totally makes sense. And it used to be that a 32-inch TV for outdoors was $3,000 or $4,000, and a 46-inch one, they started at $4,000 or $5,000, right? Now 55s were all $8,000 and $10,000 and $12,000, and they've all come down a lot. I mean, a significant amount. Even the high performance Sierra outdoor televisions, the Storms, there's promos on those, and they've become more affordable. So there's lots of different levels. I steer away from the entry level stuff. You will find that those, especially the entry level TVs, in direct sunlight, get splotches and don't look as good, and they're not as bright. So you got to know kind of what you're doing. We have one on display that you can experience and check out. They're bright, and they're made to be outside. Hello, that's what they're supposed to do.
Another thing you have to do is consider what kind of person you are. It would be really cool to watch the game outside. Oh, I got to haul this TV out, even though it's not very hard. But I have to haul this TV out and hook it up and get it dialed in and stuff. I'll just watch it inside. But would you really rather be outside? Right. So it's nicer to just have it there and be able to go and use it. That
totally makes sense. And the other option for video outside is literally projectors and screens.
Yes.
Now, depending on your specific situation, you may have a permanent place that we can mount a screen. That's covered, if you're under roof and those kind of things, or there's fold up pop up screens that literally unfold. There's inflatable ones, but the picture doesn't look very good. But there are fold up versions with regular outdoor screen material that can get wet and it won't hurt it or anything, and they're very simple to open and close. So if you want to take them down and put them in the garage or put them in the basement or something when you're not using it, storage room, pool room, whatever, when you're not using it. Very simple to do. And there are projectors in today's, and most of that's done at night, right? Yes. Most projector systems are done at night. There are rear projection systems, so you could have the screen on the, on the side and have the projection come from the back, and you can control that light by keeping everything dark behind it, that kind of a thing. That would work better. But the if you want to do daytime viewing, there are extremely bright projectors that are relatively inexpensive, that are a couple $1,000. You cannot have any decent performance and have a $600, $800, $1,000 projector outside. No. During the day, it's not even an option. But even at night, the
maybe on a 10-inch screen.
Well, and I know there's people doing it.
Then you might as well just watch it on your phone.
Right, I agree. It's just going to look. I guess the coolness of it being outside is okay, but to really do it right, it takes more than that. I mean, good projectors start at a couple $1,000. There are some extremely bright projectors starting at as little as $1,500. So you could sacrifice a little video performance and have the brightness that you need, if you feel the need. But good bright projector, you can put it on a cart. You can just take it with. They're small. Put it on a table. There's a million different options, and simple to use. And again, same kind of control concepts. The same. You're controlling things, through the whole system and doing things that way. So a lot of good options with that as well. And now you can have a 100-inch or 120-inch. I mean, during the playoffs for the Cubs. Or I was going to say the Bears, but the Cubs or the Blackhawks.
Well, hockey too. I mean, it's the playoffs for hockey are well into the spring, going into the summer.
So a lot of really cool options, and you'll be amazed at how many friends you have in the neighborhood.
It's a good way to make friends.
They do come out of the woodwork when they see that giant picture on the garage door, in front of the garage door or whatever. So a lot of really cool options there. So you got audio, you got video. There's a lot of really cool stuff and a lot of really cool ways to use it now that just didn't exist before, that just weren't there before, and have become not only simpler to use, but give you way more sources. So you can still play CDs, you can play AM/FM radio if you want to, you can stream the radio stations, obviously, which would be the preferred way to do it.
Sure.
And all the radio stations that you listen to, all your AM/FM stations are available on streaming, so you can have the choice of all those things. You can have the baseball game or the football game or the whatever going on. There's a lot of great choices when it comes to sources and options for your viewing pleasure and as well as listening pleasure. So a lot of really good things you can do, and it really is a ton of fun, and it keeps you outside in the fresh air and the sunlight. Whether if it's at night, you're just sitting out there, chilling. It's fun.
Right. I mean, a lot of times, get unbearable during the day, and the evening is really pleasant, and you'd love to be outside. But, what are you going to do? You're going to just sit around. You're going to talk to each other? You don't want to do that.
So we covered talk. All right. So we covered the outdoor speakers. We covered all the different ways you can use it. You should come by the store. We have them on display. You can listen to them. You can check them out. You can see the different options. And we can sit down with you and help design a system for you. We're happy to work with you, your architects, your landscapers, your landscape architects, whoever's doing those kind of projects. If you're building a new home, let's kind of go over it and figure out what makes the most sense in advance. Again, if we prep for it, if we wire for it, if we get the things in place and we do it later, that's fine. But let's at least be prepared to do those different things. All right, the little guy's store.
191st and I was going to say Halstead. 191st and LaGrange Road, where Mokina meets I-80.
There you go. Always available at thelittleguys.com. You can email us, info@thelittleguys, anytime, obviously. And you can call the store, 708-754-8844. We want you to come by. So check out the store.
Store is open Monday through Thursday from 10 until 6, Friday and Saturday from 10 until 5, and we're closed on Sunday.
There you go. All right. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, everybody for listening. We are out of here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.